Dinner in Hell Band!
Oh!
Gentlemen,
Cranking!
they're just ripping up there, man. Shredding.
Every single episode, it's like we're listening to a freaking recording of these guys.
So tight.
Tight, well rehearsed.
Well rehearsed indeed.
This audience is like high energy. They're pumped. They know they're about to hear about a former Belgian king with a bad reputation.
Welcome back for another exciting edition of the Dinner in Hell podcast, the show where two amateur historians talk about the atrocious underbelly of history. I am one of your co-hosts, Brad the Impaler, and with me, as always, the real Ron Maiden.
Thank you, Brad the Impaler. Today, we're talking about a man, King Leopold II, in the Congo Free State.
Yep, that is what we are going to be getting into tonight, and this is a heavy one.
Talking about a man that absolutely exploited a region.
Yeah, just ruthless motherfucker, man. Brutal.
Over rubber, or as the people in the Congo refer to it as the R word.
Yeah.
They don't speak that word.
Yeah, for good reason.
After this episode, you will not ever use rubber products again.
No, you're probably still going to. Probably don't have a choice. Well, let's talk about Leo himself first, shall we?
I'm ready.
Leopold II, born in Brussels, April 9th of 1853. His parents, Leopold I, was the King of Belgium, and his mother, Louise of Orleans, was the daughter of King Louis Philippe of France.
I was going to ask you if that was the same of France, because I knew another King Philippe, but
yeah, it's a French one.
The French one.
So, a period of tumult in Europe. Revolutionary spirit, and France does not touch Belgium during this period of time, though. We got the monarchy rolling through, unopposed. And, I mean, we've been talking about Wu Zetian had some aristocratic birth. This is as aristocratic as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. Born heir. Well, his older brother died, so he was born the heir. He was always going to be king. Knowing that growing up, I can't even imagine that. Like, hey, one day you're going to be in charge of a country. When I die, you take over. And right now, I'm your old man. I'm in charge of. I own this whole country.
Yeah, and all the citizens are my property.
Yeah.
Right?
No, not the ones in Belgium, technically, I guess.
Well,
when we get into what he gets up to after he takes the throne, yeah. So little boy Leopold grows up in this, what I imagine is basically one of the most pampered little brats in all of history. He's finally reaches 18, at which age he's marriageable now. And a suitable partner for him is found in Marie Henriette of Austria. Now, talk about aristocratic backgrounds. She was the cousin to the Emperor of Austria and granddaughter to the Holy Roman Emperor himself. That's probably a lot of inbreeding going into this poor girl.
Well, at least they're branching her out.
A little.
Out of the bloodline over to this Belgium guy.
Yeah, but they're all cousins. All of them are, basically. All, like, King of Belgium. His cousin is, or the Louis Philippe's cousin is the King of England, Queen of England. Like, they're all related to each other because they only marry, like, other queens and kings' kids.
Okay.
Yes, they're all fucking related. Yeah, royal kings and queens are fucking inbred as shit.
Now, we did, at the beginning of the show when we opened it, we did say amateur, right?
Yeah.
We're still saying that.
Correct.
There you go. Boom. So as long as we keep it, We're honest about our amateur status. So you're going to hear questions like that coming from one of your co-hosts.
Yeah,
Program.
It's just like the Targaryens.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was generally described favorably by writers at the time. She was energetic and benevolent. She was very tender toward her horses, for whom she insisted that she care for herself, which is odd. And when we talked about Wu Zixin, we talked about how she didn't have to do any domestic shit because she was aristocratic.
Yeah.
She's super aristocratic, and she's like, nah, I'm going to be in the stables, like, taking care of these horses myself because I care for them so much. I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
That's nice. She's an animal lover.
Yeah. By contrast, so their marriage was described as between a stableman and a nun. And knowing what you know now, Marie Henriette seems like the stableman. I guess that makes Leopold the nun.
Plus, Leopold was known to walk around in full black outfit with like a white, like a detail, like a Catholic nun.
Oh
would.
yeah, every day.
Like Leo, that's another thing is too. They would call him, Leopold the nun and shit, and like, cut it out. Who said that? This is my pilgrim outfit.
Pilgrim outfit.
You look like a nun, Leopold.
Aww. But really, he was just like a dork. And he was like shy and awkward and shit, and he didn't talk to people. Yeah. But after his marriage, he spends most of his time surging in the Belgian military. So he works his way kind of through the ranks. He's learning the ropes of how the military functions, which, I mean, for a country that's almost always neutral, it seems like a waste of time to me, but whatever. Aside from that, he does do quite a bit of traveling. He spends time in India, China, Egypt, all along the Mediterranean coast, and also around parts of the coast of Africa.
Is he scouting locations to colonize at this point?
I think that probably did already occur to him. I mean, most colonies at this point in time are well established, and
right.
Belgium doesn't have shit.
Right, because like the U.S. was what 1776 is when U.S. began.
Yeah. So, but I mean, we're going back to the 1500s. People started colonizing.
Yeah, and here we are,
Americas.
Here we are, 1865.
Yeah.
So they're deep into like. So I wonder if they had already attempted to, like, Belgians before him, probably already attempted like a little spot in Egypt or something, or
maybe. I honestly, I'm not sure. I know they don't have any established though. I don't know if they attempted any or not. Aside from being a world traveler, he also spent time serving in the Belgian Senate. So it is to some degree a constitutional monarchy. He's not a guy who has absolute power. He has like a veto that he can use. It's like anything that the secular government of Belgium does, he can be like, no.
They're like, Leopold, you gotta stop this. You can't exploit an entire nation. You're gonna have to be tried in front of the Senate. Leopold's like, I am the Senate.
Yeah. I'm sure it went pretty much just like that.
Endless power. No! Kill him, Anakin. Oh, I hope he dies. I'm glad he died, and I hope he burns in hell. That was my Mace Windu impression.
That's a good one. What a weird, I don't know.
Belgian Senate, that's my reference, bro.
Boom, that's a good one. Boom, Maiden. Well, so he did that for a little while.
Hashtag Boom Maiden. To all the people that are listening because they've found us through the hashtag Boom Maiden, hello.
Hashtag Boom Maiden. Welcome to the program. Well, eventually, as always happens, Leopold I kicks a bucket 1865 when our guy, Leopold II, is 30 years old, taking the throne of Belgium, becoming the big man. Leopold, from this point on, when I say Leopold, I always mean the second.
Yeah,
First one, I'm never going to talk about him again.
So you're saying dad dies.
Yeah, I don't want to say the second anymore.
All right, so from now on, Leopold is our subject. For the rest of the program, it'll be Leopold II, but we're going to say Leopold.
If for whatever reason the first pops up back again, that's when I'll say the first. But if you hear Leopold, it's number 2.
I might even call him Leo. Depends.
That works.
Depends on how the relationship feels.
So in terms of his personal life, Leopold and Marie Henriette eventually had 5 daughters and 1 son. The son, however, at some point fell into a pond and then got pneumonia and died. That would be the only male progeny that Leopold would ever create, and his heir wound up being his nephew, Albert I.
Man, kids died. We talked about this. Kids died all the time. That's why they had like 8.
Yeah.
In case a freaking percentage of them died.
Also, they didn't have much birth control, and you needed them to work on the farms.
Yeah, we have all kinds of kid theories. Carry on the bloodline.
Yeah, so eventually he and his wife divorce. They briefly get back together and try to have a son again, and that's where the 5th daughter comes from. Yeah, so that must have been a disappointment because they split up. So Leopold never remarries, but he does carry many mistresses, especially throughout his later years.
Dirty dog.
You dirty old bastard.
Dirty, smelly, slimy dog.
He was kind of a nerd. I bet he took really good care of himself. Like, he was probably like preemie, because he probably never wanted to get dirty and shit when he was a kid, like a pampered little rich kid. Yeah, I doubt he's smelly.
Then he falls in love.
Oh, yeah. One mistress stands out amongst the others. And he's 65 when he meets the 16-year-old French prostitute, Caroline Lacroix. The two are together for the next decade. Everybody knows about it. It's not a secret at all. And everybody judges the shit out of, well, because we're talking 1865, of course, her. Somehow it's her fault in the eyes of the other people. And everybody hates her. Somehow it's not his thing. He doesn't get any blowback.
You pronounce it LaCroix?
I think that's how you say it, LaCroix.
You talking about like the really awesome soft drink in a 12-pack can?
Oh, fuck that stuff.
Isn't it LaCroix?
I'm pretty sure you pronounce that name LaCroix.
Really?
Yeah.
LaCroix, I thought.
I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah.
If you gotta let us know, if you would like to correct Ron, Maiden, or Brad, let us know.
Yeah, tell me if I'm wrong.
Which one of us is right?
Every once in a while, either I or Mrs. the Impaler will have a notion. We'll be like, maybe this flavor of LaCroix water is good, as opposed to the other like 3 that we tried and were terrible and we hated and didn't drink.
Yeah.
And we'll get it.
Yeah.
And then we'll get it home and we'll crack it open. Like, I'll be nice and chilled. I'll crack it open and I'll take a sip and I'll be like, how did I make this same fucking mistake again?
Yeah. Pour it down the drain.
Yes. Return
the can.
That's right. This is terrible. I remember now. You're a disappointment, LaCroix water. Do better.
And if you would like your product removed from the program, just send a PayPal, money.thankyou.com.
Well, yeah, so everybody judges the shit out of his secret prostitute mistress. But Leopold and her have a secret wedding ceremony 5 days before he dies, which isn't official or anything, but he does leave her shitloads of money. And his legitimate daughters do not like it, so they fight her to try to seize all of that property for themselves. And I just have to say, it is heartening to me that the same types of problems crop up in the highest circles of the aristocracy as do your typical mobile home community. Your typical Steve Wilco show stage.
Remember I told you,
will.
remember the off air I told you I burnt my hands on the sparkler wires?
Indeed, I do.
That was in a trailer park.
Mm.
So that hits home a little bit for me.
I once lived in a trailer park.
I had to go to my dad's for the weekend. It was a fucking trailer park. It was a pool. Yeah, the whole park is to swim in. Trailer park living.
It's always easy to get a game of pickup basketball going, though.
Bike riding. There's like no like real threatening traffic.
Yeah, it's all slow cars.
Pretty
all
sweet.
people you know. There's always a million kids.
Great for bike ride. Oh yeah, yeah. But then it's also awful if like a tornado comes, because then like
They
your
like
shit
aim for you.
your house is like made out of popsicle sticks all of a sudden.
I forget who. I can't remember who was saying. There's a whole bit about how God hates trailer parks.
Yeah,
He always seems to aim for him with the tornadoes.
yeah.
Well, he leaves her a lot of money, and that leaves us to where did that fortune come from? And that's the real. Whew. You come here for the atrocious, we'll give it to you. Let's talk about the Congo Free State.
All right, so we covered basically the background or the life of, in a nutshell, of this king. We got through that kind of swiftly.
Yeah, this is basically the
Now-
person who's responsible for this specific atrocity.
Now we're getting to the atrocious underbelly of King Leopold II.
Yeah, and shockingly, I mean, nobody ever taught me about this in school, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I never heard about this until I was an adult.
Yeah, and I grew up in the Congo, and I never even heard of this story. It's like, you would think,
You think it would come up?
they don't talk about it.
Oh, they definitely know about this shit there. 1865 ain't that long ago. That's around the Civil War.
Like 40, 50 years, right?
Yeah, and this takes place much later than when he took over. This takes place like 20 years after that. That was when this starts.
Okay.
So this is after the United States Civil War. There's like, you can like see people who were alive for that being interviewed on film. Like this is not long a time ago.
At this time, I want to say people like Arabic, Middle Eastern people were taking slaves from Africa,
Yeah.
from the natives. There was like a slave trade going on up in the up in that region, the northern eastern region.
Yeah, I mean, you think the slave trade to the United States had just stopped
And that-
20 years before this.
Yeah, and that plays into Leopold's story here.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe due to his travels, he had the opinion that the key to a prosperous nation was having colonies.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, he's probably not wrong for this period in history. If you examine how dominant the British, Spanish, Dutch, and also the Americans were with their colonial behavior and imperialism. The United States is still an empire. We got Guam, we got Puerto Rico. Those ain't states, but we own them. Just saying.
Empire of America. I wanted to ask you of if there might be some type of show topic in them sending their prisoners to Australia.
Yeah, I think so. That sounds like it would be.
And like something like 1 in 8 Australian people have a prisoner in their family tree or something like that.
I would bet you it's way higher than
Or
that.
it's something like that. Yeah.
Every single white person that ever lived there probably
This Aborigines like, what you talking about, man?
Yeah, I don't.
Mick,
Yeah, the Aborigines probably don't. The white people all do. Oh, he made attempts. Yeah, I was saying earlier, I don't know if they ever did it before him, but he was desperate to do this, and he tried his ass off to get the Philippines off the Spanish. And what didn't happen. Wasn't going to happen for him.
He was desperate to set up a colony. He tried other locations in different countries that failed.
Yeah, he couldn't get it to happen until he managed to secure a huge loan from Belgium itself. And and he enlists the explorer Henry Morton Stanley to set up a colony in the newly explored Congo, which is, I mean, in modern day, it's now known as the Democratic Republic of Congo, Central Africa.
the thing with Henry Morton Stanley, the explorer, what the story with that guy is, he was already doing an expedition on his own, like that was already paid for, like he was already like hired to do.
He was already on his way. He was already in Africa, you're saying, right?
He was going to be one of the first people to go from the west to the east side of the continent, like white man to do it. And then Leopold's like, hey, while you're hitting the Congo region, give me all the deets on Congo. Let me know if there's a certain tree that drips rubber liquid. Let me know.
Yeah, so eventually he pays Stanley to start setting up a colony there. And with Belgium bankrolling it, they were bankrolling it, but that was the extent of their involvement. As far as the rest of the world was concerned, and this was decided upon by the European colonial powers as well as the Americans, this Congo that he set up was the sole personal property of Leopold.
Yeah.
He owned this entire country, was his as an individual. Wasn't even a Belgian colony. He had a colony.
It was his yard.
It was his yard.
It's my backyard.
The entire country, his yard.
Is my summer house. All these people I own, right?
Correct.
The native people are my property. I can do with them as I please. He says that one at some point.
Basically, yeah. I mean, he accomplishes it eventually through these really strict quotas that were impossible. But why would he have any right to impose quotas on them? He just decided that it was his. That'd be nice. I'd just be like, hey, you guys, I've never been to England, but it's mine now, right? And everyone's just like, yeah, sure, it's yours.
Yeah, like, who's our president now? Who's our king now? That white guy? What the fuck? We're all black. Guy? Like, we're Congo.
I'm talking... Oh, I was still talking about me taking over England by decree like he did.
I was having a fancy that I was Congolese.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
It's a common fantasy I have.
I think it's just a common fantasy that everyone has.
Yeah. I'm from the Congo, motherfucker. That's how they talk.
It's a really good Congolese accent. Well, so eventually, once the real wheels start turning on the colony, there is basically just a huge bureaucracy set up under a few different divisions that control everything inside the Congo Free State. And I hope you can hear the quotation marks I'm putting around the words Free State. And this was under the guise of a fake organization that had the stated goals of improving the lives or civilizing, again, air quotes, the people that live there. And though one key detail about this is, though I hold Leopold responsible for all of this shit, he never once set foot in the Congo at all in his entire life.
What the hell?
Yeah, he never went there.
He just okayed everything. He signed off on it.
Yeah, he set the directives.
On this one, I was watching lots of video on this topic, and this one guy, is it Congolese?
Congolese. I learned that originally from the Warren Zevon song "Roland the Thompson Gunner."
I don't know that.
Oh, it's a great tune. You gotta check it out.
A Congolese man was saying, they were like, what do you know of, or what did King Leopold do for the Congo? And like, this is after all the atrocities in their history. He's like, oh, he civilized us. He I was like, bro, civilized you? Yeah, but go on. We haven't talked about it yet, so let's go.
There was no civilization. There was no great society happening. It was just brutal, ruthless
labor with torture and death.
Well, maybe it is a lot like civilization.
And dismemberment and stuff, like amputations.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, but keep in mind throughout the rest of what follows that this guy was making these decisions, allowing or dictating that these behaviors take place from probably an extremely comfortable seat a half a world away.
Right.
Yeah.
with a total different shade of skin color, which is just like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Why is all our... Here we are, dinner in hell. Today we're going to discuss an evil white person for once in a while. Wait, every episode is...
Yeah, that's what history is. I hope nobody's surprised by that. Yeah, so here are some of the goals, some of his pledges to accomplish with the Congo Free State. He was going to suppress the slave trade. Didn't do that. He just became the worst at it.
But what he did do is the Arab slave traders I told you about earlier, he ended that. They were not taking slaves anymore, so they just were slaves in their own nation.
Yes, yeah, he just took them.
Look, good news. You're still slaves. No. You're still slaves. Yeah. Don't look at me in the eye. Do not look me in the eye. But you're still slaves, but you can stay here. Yeah. Your wives are going to sleep neck tied to neck, so they don't escape at night. But you can stay here.
Yeah, you don't have to be shipped off to
you're Belgium now.
Ottoman Empire.
You're Belgian now.
Isn't it great? Yeah, he also pledged to promote humanitarian policies. Nope. There's no check in that box. He was supposed to ensure free trade in the area, which I guess maybe that one he to some extent allowed, but not really. He also was supposed to encourage scientific and philanthropic enterprises. As far as I can tell, there wasn't a single one of either of those ever at play one time.
They were just taking a machete and poking a hole in a tree. Is this a rubber tree?
This is science. Oh, we scienced it.
Science and...
We're doing all kinds of science shit out here.
Hey, did you science today? I sure hell did.
Yeah.
Look at all this rubber liquid I got from a tree. It's in a pail.
Yeah, so that's what was supposed to happen. And I doubt it, but even if he did at one point attend that, things didn't go so well off the get-go. You see, that it costs a lot to set up a colony, so he owed a lot of money to Belgium, and I imagine since the king and the government are probably at odds often, they're probably harassing him quite a bit about that money that they gave him.
Hey, Leopold. Hey, we lent you a bunch of money, see?
Yeah, I know. I got the money, but...
Look at Leopold now. It's been quite a long time, Leopold. We haven't seen any money coming back, and the boss is getting angry.
Well, see, the thing is the Congo is not yet paying off.
The boss gets angry. He doesn't care if you're in the Senate or not.
Well, perhaps I'll kill a lot of people and turn it into money to give to you.
Look, they just invented rubber down there at the Dunlop factory. They're going to be needing some sources. Okay, you catch my drift? Go do some science out in that jungle, see?
Okay, yes, I'll get the rubber to sell and to pay you, and then I will crush all of you.
God damn it.
Subjugate you in total to me.
Leopold, you sound like such a pathetic little punk-ass king.
Well, truth is, I'm evil as shit. You'll find that out.
But you have a cushy chair.
Indeed. I'm always in comfort. Well, yeah, so it wasn't well explored even. So unmapped jungle, it ain't worth a whole lot of shit. So you're not making any money off of that. So he's not making as much money. This colony is not the powerhouse he thought it would be. And there's a rule that was decided at that Berlin convention where they just gave him a country to have for fun. That was basically like, if you're not using it, somebody else can colonize it.
Berlin was like, yeah, you can have it. And all the people that are already living there,
yeah.
Berlin said so.
Yeah.
Thanks, Berlin.
Yeah, we just get to decide.
Yeah, it's up to Berlin now. Yeah. I call Antarctica entire thing.
Like, sure.
Okay. I get Argentina.
Like, what?
There's already Argentina's living there. It's already called Argentina.
I'm going to call it Maiden Tina.
You can have it. Maiden Tina.
I'm civilizing it. Jesus Christ. Well, yeah, so the British in through South Africa have designs on huge portions of the Congo. So he's got to somehow start paying off this debt and expand and utilize all of this territory of the south of the Congo in a hurry.
South Africa.
Yeah. Also, like you mentioned, he did have to take on the interior of the Congo, where it was full of warlords, basically, who were exporting slaves to the Middle East. So he's got a few problems he's got to deal with, and his response to this is to ruthlessly squeeze the landscape and people of the Congo for every single drop of blood and sweat he could wrench from them. I mean, it is one of the coldest situations I've encountered. It's when you enslave people. I honestly can't imagine anything more heinous and black to the human soul.
Yeah. It's not like freaking cattle, dude. Cattle have a simpler mind where you can hurt them and farm them. Humans are like, hey, we got language. We have emotions. It's like a total different nightmare.
Yeah. And the first thing he did to start this ball rolling was declare that all unused land now belonged to the state. And by unused land, he literally meant the only thing that wasn't included in that was the literal ground directly beneath your hut and any garden that was cultivated. So if it was like an old garden that you didn't use this year, that's gone. And like not even any area around your home, just your home and the land that's on it is the only thing that you get to keep.
Man.
Yeah. And then afterwards, it was a tax, basically. He would say, okay, well, you got to pull your weight in this new state, so you got to have this many tusks for me, or this many, this amount of rubber. That's right. What you owe me as the government.
Yeah.
And it was impossible for them to actually accomplish the goals they were given most of the time, even if they were to have worked 24 hours a day every day of the year. They could never get what they were supposed to. It was just a really shitty cover, like a lie.
Rubber is the biggest freaking the whole story wraps around this rubber. He owned the market on rubber. No one else was. Some places in Asia and China were making rubber, but this was like the rubber, like Mecca, but like
this was the biggest producer,
right? And he owned the market on it, and so he can make the price. He can name the price.
Yeah, so that's how he's going to pay off that debt and enrich himself obscenely.
This is where his fortune really comes from, is this rubber business. And what you said about taxing the people that live there.
Yeah.
Like there was like, he would put incentives on his people that manage these people that would like, cause he, like you said, he's in Belgium.
Yeah.
So he paid people to manage the Congo.
Yeah. And yes. Yep.
And by manage, we mean like run, like, enforce law and work expectations. Yeah. So they would like torture these people. They would. Do you want to talk about the hands?
We'll get there.
Okay.
The way they were able to maintain this is like you were talking about. The whole upper echelons of the government were all white Belgians. Once you get down to the very bottom, he left the local elites, like the people who used to be the heads of the tribes and stuff. He left them in place. And was like, here's guns.
Yeah.
If they don't meet their quotas, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the lowest rung, and those were the people who, in the beginning, were forcing the Congolese to work.
Their own people.
Yes. Eventually, he did kind of placate the free business people because he opened a third of the Congo to private companies, and he would collect tax revenue on their exploitation of the people. Nothing changed at all for the people who lived there. They were just enslaved by a private company instead of Leopold himself. They were allowed to detain people who they thought were working hard enough or execute them. They were allowed to oversee and rule the territory that they were granted on like a 10 or 15-year monopoly.
Yeah.
They were allowed to do whatever they wanted to extract as much natural resources from the region as they could.
Yeah.
And Leopold was still eating on their taxes. They would pay him a tax to operate there.
Right.
Yeah, the other 2/3 of the Congo was controlled directly by Leopold himself, and he would suppress that population with his own private army, which was called the Force Publique. This was comprised of white Belgian officers and black soldiers. They were either recruited from West Africa or they would serve in areas that were different from where they came from in the Congo. Congo is a big country. It is very big. And the way they would get some of these people was to just straight up take them from their villages as children and then bring them up in a Roman Catholic missionary.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would be told to, hate their countrymen, and they'd be willing to brutalize them.
Yeah, that's awful.
Because they were stolen as children and completely indoctrinated from birth on how to behave.
What a nightmare. So that's it? Show's over?
Show's done. Good stuff, huh?
It's so awful.
Well, this Force Publique, what they would do is they were sent into the jungles, to oversee the workers that were gathering the rubber. If anybody wasn't working hard enough, the immediate penalty was death. And everything was strictly controlled. They didn't even trust their own soldiers. Their own soldiers set out to oversee the workers were issued 10 bullets. Not 9, not 11, 10, exactly. And if a bullet went missing, it had to be accounted for.
They had to have the casing for it?
No. If they shot a bullet, they needed to bring back a right hand. Because theoretically, if you only cut the right hand off, a right hand means a dead person. So the bullet's gone, hand comes back. One person dead.
On paper.
Sometimes they didn't do a good job at killing the people. Yeah. So they just severed the hand, and then the person would wait till they left and get up and get help and survive with one hand.
Right. There's a lot of one-handers going around. A lot of left-handed. They were a left-handed culture.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, against their will.
Yeah, left-hander would have been better off if they would have survived this, but I can't say anybody who is in this situation is well off.
There was a missionary. There was a lot of missionaries too, like religious missionaries.
Some they Africa. Were pretty controlled where they were allowed to go and who was allowed to come.
So there was this one missionary that walked up on this person that was carrying a basket, and they were like, "What's in the basket?" And it was hands.
Yeah.
And she took them out. The person took them all out. I don't know if it's a he or a she. So the person takes the hands out of the basket and puts them in a row, and they counted like 19 right hands. Mm-hmm. No, it was like the enforcer counted 19 right hands, and she had lost the 20th hand. There were supposed to be 20 hands. And she was like disciplined.
Eesh.
Where's the hand? God damn it, those bullets are expensive.
Yeah, well, the thing about the severed hands is they were the other way that they would balance the accounting with the quotas that were given out to the people. So if the requisite amount of rubber that the people of any given territory were able to gather did not meet the target that was set for them, that number had to be made up for in death, in hands. So it's like, I don't know how the rubber was measured. I don't know what the exact numbers on this would be. But I say, okay, or Ron Maiden, you're the local chief of this village. By the end of this month, I need 1,000 rubber. But say your whole village, men, women, elderly, children, everybody got put to work. Say you could only gather 900 in the whole month. You worked nonstop. You forced all these people to work, but there's people with guns watching them the whole time, making them work. You can only get 900. Well, guess what? We need 10 hands to make up that extra 100 to balance the books. So they would just kill 10 people.
Yeah. They also did that on a, there was a time when there was like 400 people in the group of like the property or whatever, the region, the sector. And there was supposed to be food coming back. Like they're supposed to be bringing back fish or something, like fishermen are supposed to come back with fish from the day to feed them. And they didn't. And they're like, well, they just killed 100 people. They like solved that, food shortage.
Yeah, I guess there's enough food now.
Yeah, it's only got to be split between 300 now.
Yeah, I mean that's a little window into the just sheer desperation that must have been the entire emotional content of their lives.
And I guess these natives were like non-confrontational people. They were like not the type that would be like retaliate, be like aggressive. They were easily like.
Yeah, I mean, from my knowledge
sad.
of the lifestyles of the tribal people of Africa in that region, sort of like, I mean, if they're hunter-gatherers have very little conflict.
Yeah.
Settled societies are the ones that start to fight one another.
Yeah.
I mean, another example of the oppression, the desperation that these people were under is sometimes what they would do is, in order to get the hands to make up for their quota, one tiny village would attack another village to get their hands.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to have to give up their own.
That's when I said on paper, you said of dead people. I mean, they didn't have to be dead. They just had to be a hand.
Well, I assume most people who get their hands cut off die.
Or you hold them down or in their sleep, like, in the middle of the night, machete.
Yeah, I assume they bleed out and die. I mean, I doubt they're trying to save them.
Cauterize it. There's people with stump. There's pictures of people, Google Images.
Yeah,
There's
but
people with stump.
they survived some of them, but I doubt it was. I bet it was probably like 20% maybe could make it through if you got your hand cut off and there's no help or anything.
But the point I'm making is they not always died.
Not always, yeah.
So it wasn't always the hand of a dead person.
Yeah, I would say a vast majority of the time it was, but not all of the time.
Well, I'm saying it's not. How far you want to freaking go with this, BT? You want to drop the gloves? Let's throw these mic stands down.
Well, we'll hear some numbers at the end of the show that I think will prove my point. Even minor offenses, like you mentioned, like missing one hand, still elicited brutal punishments. I mean, the minor offenses were always punished with whipping, and the lash they used, the whip they would use to do this, was so damaging that 20 lashes, which was generally a tiny offense, like one missing hand, was enough to basically tear up your entire back. They would force the victim down sort of like with the wheel, and they would be tied to the two planks and then whipped. 20 lashes turned you into a bloody pulp, and 50 lashes was always a fatal sentence.
The whip was made of rhino hide that was dried in the sun. That's a maiden detail that you just gotta appreciate my what I bring to the program.
Nice work.
I do some research myself.
Yeah, you can imagine how tough that rhino skin is. Holy shit. The work that they were forced to endure was so severe that the Congolese couldn't even provide for themselves. They were often stricken with starvation. There were widespread reports of cannibalism, both by the enslaved Congolese and the mercenaries in the Force Publique. Both of them were doing it at various points.
Cannibalism?
Yes.
Look, I'm sick of bananas. I'm sick of figs. Whatever grows in the Congo, I don't know.
I know rubber does. Not
Yep.
much. And any number of horrifying things were done in order to exploit the land and people. One witness to a raid that was designed to punish a village that was protesting, they were saying, no, we're not doing this shit anymore. The raid to put those people down, they recalled 10 men being put into a net tied with heavy rocks, and which was like, they were like slowly tumbled into the river. Like, let's just drown some people real quick.
Yeah.
That's cruel as hell.
I think that's how they did the people when I said that the 100 were trimmed off of the population.
With the nets?
I think that's what they did like that.
Yeah, that is ugly.
It was brutal.
Way worse, though, is the same missionary reported the soldiers of the Force Publique forcing young men to either kill or rape their own sisters and mothers.
Yeah, and they would do it like in the middle, like in front of everybody, like out in the open.
Yeah, to humiliate everybody involved.
Yeah. Like like again, if they just had a TV, all they needed was a TV. Would have saved the torment.
They would have never allowed a TV. That would have been not work.
They would have been watching like, you know,
they were allowed
honeymooners.
They were allowed to work, and that was it.
They're watching like Hogan's Heroes and shit instead of making them have forced incest. There was reports of heads nailed to fences and their genitals nailed below.
Yes,
they would behead the person and then degenitize them like that. Dinner and new vocabulary. Degenitize them, dedigitize them, and nail it up to the fence under his head. Like, how humiliate? Like, what the hell is going on in the Congo?
All of this prescribed by a guy in a comfy chair half a world away.
He's like, bring me the head of a pig. I think I should credit freaking, I think Gaffigan came up with that. Or Reagan. It was Gaffigan.
It sounded maybe like a Gaffigan-esque delivery.
I think he's talking about first class, flying in first class. Bring me the head of a pig.
It sounds right to me.
He's a king.
I like Jim Gaffigan. He's good.
Him and Brian Regan are two solid, clean.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to watch Stand Up With Your Child.
Just put on some Neil Hamburger.
That's my life. I say that to my family all the time. If there's something shitty goes wrong at the house, God damn it, the friggin' I'll be like, that's my life. Fuck it.
What about some ADC, some Dice Clay? You listen to that with your family?
Oh my God, no.
Sam Kinison.
Yeah.
Well, so people that were conscripted into the Force Publique, they would be given shorter terms of work because some of them were mercenaries, some of them were also slaves, and they would be like, "Hey, you won't have to work as much, and you can stop doing what you're doing sooner. The more hands you bring in."
What the fuck? What's this deal with? Where do the hands go? Where do these hands go? What do they do with these hands?
We need to have a dinner in hell and historical investigation.
God darn it.
I don't know what the fuck they were doing with them.
Somewhere there's a million hand bones.
Yeah, somewhere
like in a
there
pit
are.
Somewhere they throw them in a hand hole. They got a big old hole they dug.
Unless they cremated them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they sometimes when they went out, they weren't even forcing people to work. They would just go out and murder people to harvest hands. Because I think the idea was like, look how many people we shot. We must be forcing all kinds of people to work so hard because we're so brutal.
Yeah. It's easier than getting the rubber from that tall ass tree.
Yeah, but they're like, fuck waiting out here all day making people work. Let's just go kill them, get the hands, come back right away.
So much easier. I know there's a whole bunch of people living. We can go kill them down the road, down the trail.
Yeah, they would do that. That happened. That was the thing that humans did to other humans, as you would quote. Quote Ron Maiden.
That's what this program is all about. The human history, what we've done to each other throughout time, what white people have done to everyone else throughout time.
Yeah. Well, Leopold white asshole in question, enjoyed the sovereignty of the Congo until his death in 1908.
Well, let me just hold on a second. We've been shitting on the white race. We've been joking about it this whole time, but I'm not going to act like I'm not like proud to be a white person. I'm just claiming a fact.
Well,
I'm not shitting on white. It's factual.
Why are you proud to be a white person?
Like, I'm not saying I don't want to be white. I'm not saying all white people are bad because I'm not bad.
Yeah, obviously
You know
all
what I'm
white
saying?
people aren't bad.
Right.
We are both white.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
just in case you didn't
Right.
know, we're
I'm
both
not-
white.
I'm not like anti-white. I'm just saying, like, God damn it,
But
throughout history.
the reason that like there's things like Hispanic pride and Black pride, but there shouldn't be white pride,
Yeah.
is because of the nature of history. Because white people have done this.
Yeah.
The Congo didn't do this to Belgium. If the Congo did this to Belgium, Belgium wouldn't have its culture still. When I think of like my heritage, what I can be proud of,
Yeah.
a lot of you might not know this, but Impaler is actually a Scottish name. So I can have pride in my Scottish heritage.
Yeah.
There's nothing to be proud of being white. The only
white
reason,
skin.
yeah, it's I can
Okay.
go. I have Scandinavian heritage.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, one of my ancestors was
Like-
a United States senator.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Like, don't
I
celebrate
have-
the white part. Celebrate the.
I know my heritage. The reason there's Black pride is because they know their heritage for 200 years, and then they don't know their culture. Their history was obliterated by the
Yeah.
slave trade in the United States. That's why there's Black pride, because their
last
don't
names are
even,
like Jackson.
They didn't come here on their own. Otherwise, they would have. Or if they do, I mean, there's plenty of Black people who that's not the case for.
Yeah.
You have people who are descended of immigrants or are immigrants, and they have Ugandan pride or they have Ghanaian pride.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, unfortunately, do not have that access to their heritage
Yeah.
because it was stolen from them
They don't
by
know
other
that
people.
they don't know that they're Ugandan. They don't know that they're Nigerian.
Yeah.
But they are black. So
Yeah,
they're like, that's all I got, bro.
Yeah. So
My
when
blackness.
people say it's like you shouldn't be proud of being white, they don't mean you shouldn't be proud of being Irish. Be proud of being Irish all you want. That's perfectly normal and a great human emotion.
Yeah.
But just remember that other people don't have that privilege.
Yeah. Thanks, PT.
Well, Leopold had a lot of privilege, and he was the sole owner of the Congo until he died. And he was rich, like you wouldn't believe. He constructed all kinds of shit. He tried to leave a bunch of it to his hooker mistress. And what are the costs, might you ask, to accrue this massive amount of wealth? And the costs are anywhere from 10 to 15 million Congolese lives.
That's freaking crazy. These some of these church missionaries would report back, and one started a newspaper. It was called like the African Times or some shit.
Yeah, Leopold would fight these. He would sue them. He would slander them. He would spend all kinds of money to like put them out of business and shit. He was
like, it would show like the woman I said with the hands laid out or whatever. It would like show like an instance like that with a picture like this is real and this is happening. And they would try to get the story out like other big papers to pick it up, like in the UK or like, you know, other like back home, Belgium.
Yeah, and he would exert all his influence trying to stop that from happening because he was basically committing a genocide.
And like at one point he was like, who are you to tell me what I can and can't do with my people? They're my property.
Yeah, he basically
like,
just
what
like
the
said
fuck?
that, like, fuck off, like this is my business.
Like other regions got together and like, hey, we know what's going on. You got to stop it. He's like, I don't go out telling you what to do. I don't go to your work and tell you how to fix the Slurpee machine. Shit. Something like that.
Yeah, but that's it.
Rubber.
That's the story of Leopold and the Congo Free State. Rubber trade, human just atrocity.
You know, I was watching a video, like I said, and like one of them was like, they don't say the word rubber. Like they don't even, that's a word that some people don't even mention. It's like brings nothing but horror.
Yeah, there's things that people like, I grew up in America. So like, for example, there's never in my lifetime or my parents' lifetime or my grandparents' lifetime been a war here.
Right.
War has never come to my neighborhood.
Well, there's a war in Waco. Don't forget.
Yeah, but like
you
Europe,
son of a bitch.
Europe is still feeling the effects of World War II and I. They've been traumatized by war. All people all over the world, basically except for us, have been traumatized by war. They know what it actually feels like. It's I assume that's a big difference.
The closest thing to war we've had here was like St. Louis like riots and LA riots after the guy got beat on the highway.
I would say the closest thing we've had to war is September 11th.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was pretty bad.
Yeah. But even, I mean, we're talking about, do you recall the death toll from that event? I feel like
hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands? I think maybe it was like 2,000.
Really?
How would hundreds of thousands of people be in the World Trade Center?
I'm talking about who died emotionally inside, not physically. You meant physically?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was a physical death toll.
2,000, nothing.
Which
yeah,
is
like what
like,
you
that
said.
sounds like I'm trivializing it. I'm sure we'll do an episode on how fucking awful that was in the future. But I'm saying, like,
didn't happen, bro. It was planned.
When's the last, like, there hasn't been a situation where millions of people died in war on United States soil.
You want to do
in the modern age? I mean,
we should do.
A lot of this might be off topic right now. I'm starting to.
We're done with Leopold, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think of an episode where we do a count pointer count up topic? Like you break down World Trade Center, and I'll try to throw conspiracy shit at you, and you address it.
We could totally do that.
And
we gotta sign off.
And this airplane left the airport at this time. Like, oh, why did it do this? Why didn't it do that? Really, Brad? Like, you're like,
yeah,
no,
you can do that. I'm a skeptic. I like shooting that shit down.
Oh man, what a freaking atrocious asshole this King Leopold II was.
Yeah, people don't talk about him as much or as meanly as they should, but this guy's like a Hitler level piece of shit.
Yeah, everyone's so hung up on Hitler. It's like, bro, you can be mad at this guy too.
Yeah.
Don't just be mad at Hitler.
Don't forget. Remember all the bad things and remember how and why they happened so that we don't do them again, please. Well, that's it for that shit. What an asshole.
Hello, Belgium listeners.
You got any other under-discussed tyrants you'd like to hear about? You can direct your suggestions to us on Twitter at Dinner and Hell Pod. We're on Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, you name it.
Stitcher's, we get a lot of people from Stitcher.
Stitcher, what up? Stitcher crowd.
Find us on Stitcher. And if you want to hear your pod service mentioned like we just did, frickin' get in touch with us and throw some frickin' support our way.
Maybe a few ducats.
You know what I'm saying? Send some frickin'.
Maybe a cannoli or two.
PayPal it up. Bitcoin it. Whatever.
Oh, this band.
This audience.
Just beautiful, beautiful souls all around.
This co-host. This freaking lava lamp. Beautiful.
It's entrancing me all night.
It's all fun to watch while we discuss tyrants.
Pretty cool fish tank, too.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Thank you for listening, joining us tonight. Good night.